Hey guys, so first of all, I'd like to apologize for the last video I did. Now, I was extremely, let's just say I was high. Well, legally high, because I've had a couple of medical issues recently and just came out of hospital, etc., and I wasn't in my right mind when I was recording, and completely forgot to even change the camera angle and stuff, so you could actually see what I was pointing to in the 2204. So today is a bit of a reprise on what exactly I did, and just maybe give a couple of tips here and there of what you could expect and what is sort of like a common issue with these. So let us just change the angle of the dangle. So here we have, and I'll get my little pointy thing. So if you can see this quite clearly, it should be clear now. So you'll see everything in this amp. And I've even got this other little camera here, so you can sort of see a little bit easier there. So basically what happened was the main issue of this amp was the capacitor here, which is basically for these two. It filters the power supply for these two tubes. Now, when I measured it, it was 4 nanofarads each side of that 50 microfarad capacitor, which is like I said in the previous video, it's something that you don't expect because it wasn't completely blown up. So when I did test it, I pulled it out of the circuit. I tested everything, and quite surprisingly, this Marshall from 1983, every single one of these resistors, which are carbon composition, quite surprisingly, they were all in tolerance, which for something of this age and being carbon composite as well, unheard of. And just at how it was almost untouched in 42 years was also a shock, and even the quality of how clean this is as well. You just don't see it that often, but when you do, it does give you like a wow, a definite wow moment. So after replacing that, so when the amp came back to life, but one of the common things with, for example, a dead capacitor is in that part of that where that capacitor is, you will get things like oscillation or squealing or weird things that happen. So that's where you look at first. If you're getting some type of motorboating and stuff like that, when you're moving things in that area, for example, the gain pot, the first thing you would check would be that capacitor. Something else like that you would check would be if you're getting, so let's just say this is biased at minus 44 volts each side. Now, if one side is minus 44 and the other is minus 12, that part of the phase inverter will be that most likely one of these phase inverter coupling caps is leaking AC. leaking DC into that, and basically because the plate resistor is feeding that as well as the bias from the 220Ks. So you're going to get where the actual the grid is connected, you will get a different reading, and it won't be, let's just say, minus 39 volts. It'll be different altogether, and that's how you know 100% that you've got a dead capacitor and you'll need to change it. This one, these ones are actually good, so I didn't have to change them. For example, the bias was perfect. And another thing that you would is ideal to do is where you've got any components that are next to things that produce heat. So, for example, on this the cathode follower, if when you read this and it's not holding the same value as you would read it with this, for example, that is brown, black, yellow, gold, that's 100K. If it's reading 110 or even 1 meg or something like that is out, you'll know that that's been damaged by heat and it will need to be replaced. I did have to do that for these grid resistors here. One of them actually completely broke off just by tapping it like that. And you can see here I'm hitting it pretty hard and it's sturdy now. So that's how you know it's, it didn't last long. And that would have caused a couple of issues as well. So I replaced both. Another thing is here, because EL34s, for example, they do produce a lot of heat. If these are 1K, normally with the current tubes that we get now, like probably 1K would be a minimum that I would use on these, and I'd probably aim for like a 2.2K resistor there. But that's generally if it's been damaged by heat. These measured in spec, so I whatever they are in spec, I choose to keep them as original as possible. Because it's just better that way. So these measured in spec, I left them as is. Some of the other, so now with this amp in particular, I did have to replace quite a few of the ceramic capacitors. For example, here and here, they completely disintegrated, which it's not unheard of. It happens more often than you think, and it's just one of those things that sometimes you just have to replace it. Another common thing that might happen, especially with older amps, is where the hookup wire is connected to the pads, especially with these boards, especially because they're not plated, and that you can only solder them from underneath. Over time, they can sort of become like a cold solder joint, and you do have to actually reflow all the joints. This one I had to reflow quite a lot of the joints underneath the board, and so then we the next one we do is I'm not sure if I mentioned the shielded cable, but I like to replace all of the hookup wire that's connected with the input and the gain with a shielded cable, as that reduces a lot of the interference that you would get from everything, and it's one of the things that's the first thing I actually do change, and it helps tremendously with the noise floor. Then there is for this one in particular, so I this was modded. Now I changed I added a 680 nanofarad capacitor to this cathode right here, which is the third gain stage. That's to sweeten up the tone, I guess, especially with distortion. It sort of gives it a little bit more of a nice bite to it. The snubber caps that I've got on the cathode follower and the first stage plates, that's more for just to reduce a little bit of the highs, and that's more of a personal taste sort of thing. And the other thing I did is, instead of having the 10K cold clipper, I added parallel with that 3.3K with a 680 nanofarad capacitor. So it's no longer cold, it's a little bit hot, but it's just how I like it. Yes, that's basically it for today. And I also did, I don't know, yeah, you can see it, but what I'll do, I'll quickly move the camera just closer so you can see sort of what's going on here. And I'll just change it to that right there. So you can see here, this is this is tag strip, and it's a 1 meg going to the second B plus node, and the heater center tap is connected in between the 100K with the I've got a 220 microfarad 100 volt capacitor here, and so with this voltage divider, it basically it elevates your heaters, your heater winding by about 40 volts. I normally do it as a rough 40 volts first. It helps with the cathode follower, and it also helps with noise. So it's one of those quick little mods that helps with the noise floor tremendously. Another thing I did, which I'll just move this a little bit further down here. You probably can't see it actually. It's probably better if I change the webcam just a tad. So now you probably still can't see it. Well, let's just do this anyway. I'll see if I can get it closer anyway. Actually, I'll see if I can just move this a little bit closer. So as you can see on these tubes here, so I've got a diode from the primary side of the output transformer to ground. So this is basically a protection diode for your. So if you ever get a catastrophic failure, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. Geez. get this back on. There we go. Right. So if you ever get a catastrophic failure of your power tubes, those diodes will save your output transformer, and happy days from then on out, because you won't have to pay for a new transformer if your power tubes die. And you can probably see one of the other mods that I did, which was just this little guy here. So this purple wire here leads down to right here, which there we go. So that's connected to a 100k resistor, which is connected to your the tail of your phase inverter, which is also what your presence pot is connected to. Now this 100k goes to here, through here. Usually it goes to your 4 ohm tap on the 2204, but I've put in series with that a 270k with a 4.7 nanofarad capacitor for a fixed depth. So instead of having a pot, which is normally like a 1 meg pot with a 4N7, for the depth, it's fixed at, well, 270k, which will be roughly like 6 or 7 on a 1 meg pot, roughly, or 5 to 6. It's roughly about that. I think normally Dave Friedman uses a 220k with a 4N7, but I just like it a little bit more. It sort of gives it a little bit more warmth with the 270k I found. So that's what I generally use, and majority of the rest of the circuit is stock, or what I refer to as stock, apart from the first coupler, which I've used a 10 nanofarad. If I were to use a 4.7 nanofarad there to cut bass a little bit more, I would be inclined to use a 10 nanofarad here, for a little bit more depth, but I tried it out the other way. I didn't like how it was gelling myself, so I decided to just change up the circuit a little bit so it had a little bit better response and feel that I wanted out of it for the customer, or for the owner of this amp. So I think that's basically it. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.